In this section, we will review the policies that define appropriate conduct for camp staff while at camp and afterward. These policies have been developed for the purpose of protecting campers and counselors alike. The topic of child abuse continues to be a serious issue, and the Baltimore-Washington Conference is committed to ensuring that all children and youth involved in local church or annual conference ministries may participate in an environment of safety and security. Likewise, staff must know how to protect themselves, that is, conduct themselves in a manner that avoids situations from which allegations of misconduct could be made. The mere accusation of an incident involving molestation or sexual harassment, never mind an actual incident, would have tragic and long-lasting effects on the entire camping program. It is therefore necessary that all staff be guided by policies designed to protect the camper and counselor alike.
Protecting the campers and yourself is a delicate balancing act, to say the least. As staff, we want to present ourselves as approachable and compassionate, even vulnerable to our campers. Yet doing so is risky. We need to strike a perfect balance between meeting the campers' needs and protecting ourselves without appearing distant, unapproachable, cold, or otherwise insensitive. Being aware of the need to protect yourself and taking the steps to do so is not insensitive. It's just smart. Some children and youth will latch right on to staff persons whom they perceive as a genuine and caring adult. The sad truth is that they may be finding care and attention they may not normally receive. Staff can find themselves in a dangerous situation quickly and unintentionally. But there's good news. Protecting yourself and serving the needs of campers is possible and relatively easy by taking a few simple, proactive measures.
The bottom line is this. Do not put yourself in a position in which you invite allegations or could be suspected of abusive or harassing behavior. In other words, never be alone with a camper. Conversations with campers are best out in the open, that is, in plain sight of everyone. A picnic table outside your lodge, a gazebo, even the remote corner of a large room. The criteria is to be away from other campers to discuss that which needs to be discussed, but completely visible. Certainly you should never allow yourself to be in a room behind closed doors with a camper. That said, there may come a time when you find it necessary to speak with a camper away from the rest of the group. There may be a discipline issue. The camper may have come to you to share an issue or incident. They may just need to talk. Should this happen, the first step is to remember that you should never be alone with a camper. If a camper approaches you, or if you must speak one-on-one, immediately find another counselor to sit in on the conversation. In the event the conversation leads to further action, the other counselor serves as someone who can corroborate what was said.
A key component to building relationships at camp is touch. A hug or pat on the back is a way to convey care, friendship, support, or a sense of closeness and understanding. A gentle touch such as a hand on the shoulder can be an effective means to calm a disruptive camper without saying a word. Unfortunately, the positive messages we try to convey through touch can be misinterpreted, and you must be careful. First, be aware of personal space. If you sense someone does not want to be hugged or otherwise touched, trust your instinct and keep your hands off. Secondly, touch only in safe areas, on the back above the waist, on the arm, elbow, or shoulder. Finally, if you do touch someone, do so only for a short period of time. Motions such as high fives or the rock are quick, non-threatening, and effective means to communicate congratulations for some sort of accomplishment. Pats on the back, handshakes, or touches on the shoulder should also be quick. We've missed the mark if we've made someone feel uncomfortable in the process of saying, "Way to go."
There are two instances in which you, as part of the camp staff responsible for the well-being of campers, would deliberately come into contact with a camper. The first is if a camper is in imminent danger of causing bodily harm to him or herself or someone else. This is the only time you would use physical force to restrain a camper. Even in this instance, however, the touch lasts only as long as is absolutely necessary, and you speak directly to the camper as they are restrained to explain why you are doing what you are doing and attempt to calm them down. The second and less extreme instance would be outfitting a camper with equipment such as life jackets for boating or harnesses and helmets for high ropes events. You cannot help but be in contact with a camper if they need assistance with these items. Always talk to the camper. tell them exactly what you were doing. That is, your life jacket is a little loose. I need to tighten it. If a piece of clothing is covering the climbing harness and preventing you from assisting them, do not move the clothing. Asking them, would you lift your sweatshirt just far enough so I can adjust your harness, fully explains your intentions. Despite our best efforts, innocent things happen. In other words, it is not impossible to find ourselves in inappropriate situations unintentionally. For this reason, remembering and following the aforementioned bottom line and never allowing ourselves to be alone with a camper will go a long way towards keeping an unintentional incident from becoming a major ordeal. For instance, counselors could inadvertently enter a room where campers are changing clothes. A counselor could unintentionally touch a camper during a game in such a way that could be perceived as inappropriate. If anything like this should happen to you, it is imperative that you follow a few simple steps. First, apologize to the camper immediately. Second, tell someone else what has occurred. The volunteer director and ultimately the camp director will need to know that this incident has occurred. Sometimes an immediate phone call to parents about incidents such as this can prevent a major incident later. Imagine picking your child up from camp at the end of the week and hearing in the course of the conversation that the counselor walked into the room while we were changing our clothes. At that point, you as the parent are probably no longer concerned about how much fun your child had. Parents generally appreciate being informed that an incident such as this has occurred and that it was handled in a professional manner.
Up to now, we've been focusing on appropriate conduct while at camp, but maintaining a transparent atmosphere after camp is equally important. It's imperative in the age of Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, texting, and IMing that the atmosphere of transparency established at camp continues after camp has ended. Some campers do still write letters, but most will email. As the counselor, do not take it upon yourself to obtain and publicly post campers' emails or mailing addresses without their permission. To facilitate the exchange of contact information, we've established the following policy. First, campers are free to exchange contact information among themselves on their own. Secondly, to provide contact information to the group at large, campers can voluntarily provide their contact information, including name, address, email address, Facebook or MySpace links, on a list provided by the director or counselors. This list can be photocopied at the office and the copies distributed to the campers. Be sure campers understand that they do not have to provide their contact information if they do not want to. Finally, we recommend that campers do not provide personal phone numbers. At no time should any staff be in contact on a one-on-one basis with a camper via letter, phone, email, IM, or other private means of communication. This goes back to our bottom line of never be alone with a camper. Communications to campers from staff can occur in the following ways. First, a generalized letter or email sent to all of the campers to thank them for participating and encouraging them to live what they've learned at camp. Be sure to send a copy of this email to the appropriate camp manager. Secondly, communication on Facebook, MySpace, or other networking sites must be open and transparent. That is, a wall-to-wall message or otherwise open blogs. Finally, should a pastoral need surface through communication with a camper that would require personal contact with the camper, the staff should contact the appropriate site director. From that point, the decision will be made on how to minister to that camper most effectively.
A significant benefit of the camp experience is the relationships that developed. Forming a community of faith is really at the core as to why we give so much time and effort to our camp programs. It is not only natural, but a desired outcome that campers form lasting friendships with each other as well as with staff who have guided, influenced, and shared so much with them through the camp experience. The staff possesses a very powerful influence with regard to the campers, and this can never be taken lightly. It is therefore imperative that all relationships that begin at camp be maintained in a transparent manner both at camp and afterward.